Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you for staying on and for staying for this final session. I can guarantee it's going to be more than worth staying. You met them earlier at the start of the day. I'm sure some of you have met them all through some of the workshops as well throughout the day in terms of Davies. Again, as Sue said earlier about Googling and looking up people and so on, you can do that, and I know people will have. And Laughology is for me totally unique in terms of the quality of the trainers and their ethical approach to what they do. And that's why we want to do it. Why I've had the privilege of working with Dave for over 20 years. It's not stalking you, but working. And Seth as the founder of Laughology, and from that career, as you know, you can tell why an award-winning stand-up, but turned positive psychology expertise into this work that they do, which that word authentic and ethical runs through everything they do and every part of what they do. And in terms of Dave, and I saw you on Call the Midwife. You were on Call the Midwife, weren't you, 2 weeks ago? So from being that Nottingham pit village, I know. Tap dancer extraordinaire. Dave's, of course, it's a stand-up educationalist because you do have that expertise, and both of them work with both the public, private sector, all of them, you know, in terms of the feedback on the transformational impact you have in turning into positive school culture. And I like the fact that you talk about really wanting to make work. We want to hear a bit of that last session. So over to you two, and thanks in advance.
It's certainly thinned out a bit, isn't it? We've got some, don't worry. Okay, last energy of the day. I think we'll do a little bit of a Mexican wave. Do you fancy a Mexican wave?
Follow the theme.
You know how Mexican wave works, yeah, all the way along, all the way to the end, and then we'll do it back. Okay, are you ready? We're going to start here. That's 3.
What's the time feeling? Come on.
2, 3. Up we go. Oh,
Stand up. Sit.
Nice to word this said all day.
Brilliant. Started. What we'd love to know is a couple of things for you, to have a chat with the person next to you. What have you learned today, but also what have you got to do with it? That's really important stuff. So having that, in fact, having that to the person behind you. Oh,
you So yeah, one thing you've learned, and one thing you practice in the practice. One thing you've learned.
That's true. What did you end up with? Yeah. Safeguarding. Yes. Rather saying traditionally.
Everybody here.
All really science.
We're going to go for that. Speaking around everyone. Who's something you learned, something perhaps you do back.
Now, I actually heard that people were trading these. case as well, when I heard.
Somebody opened a curly willy tuck shop at lunchtime. Selling for a £5.
So you can win some more of these or curly wellies. So who would like to go first? Anyone learn?
Okay.
I've learned that as a school we do quite a lot of stuff that has been talked about today, and I think we do quite. It was a nice confidence boost, actually.
Let's go.
It's good to know that sometimes, isn't it? Have it affirmed to you. You're doing well. You're doing well.
But what I would like to take away is from Stuart. I really liked his session, and but I would like to disseminate his kind of things to the whole staff, because I think that was really great for us.
We do one thing, as soon as we like to get a curly willy, just saying something out of
Is there a time up curly welly?
Oh,
Thank you.
Aileen, sorry.
no, I am.
Some of the themes came across for the two different sessions we talked about, but the lower impact of intrinsic rewards and prizes and things like opposed to the sense of belonging. So the impact on motivation and engagement in the classroom. Teddy bears or curly wellies.
They just taught yourself out of that. What are you going to do about it, Hannah?
It's something we're leading anyway, but it's a reminder to be sort of constantly implement it and increasing the profile of that over any reward system or.
Lovely. Give a round of applause.
We're just having a stare up now.
Yes.
To
Was it Stuart's session again, was it?
Kind of try and bring it all back to, I don't want to be cliche, but why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And like that laughter in the genuine, rather than, do you know what I mean?
Genuine laughter, genuine joy.
Yeah.
Really enjoy yourself in a learning environment.
Yeah,
That's what I'm at there. And how are you going to do that?
There you go. Just switch it.
Apart from studio, what are you doing?
I don't know, just kind of.
Okay, you might what's happened?
Our next thing.
Right, skip everything. It's insane.
I'm in charge of the budget.
Do you have any discounts?
I'm never working again. British. Let's get good. So, come here, we're going to pair up, okay? Come on, I saw you come at this time. Where you going in? So you need to get into pairs, listen to the instruction. What you're going to do in a second, when I say go, you're going to turn and face your partner, and you're just going to pay attention to it for a second. So look around, look what they've got on, what they're wearing, okay? And then I'm going to give you some more instructions. So let's do that. So give me a second, just bring them in. Bring them in. Bring them in. Right, here's phase two. Say drop the bar in. Okay, what we're going to do in a second is we're going to turn back to back. Don't do it yet. When you turn back to back, you're going to change three things about your appearance. Okay, so you might be putting glasses on, took your glasses in, kept your breath. I'm going to say that because I was in Sweden a week ago. So you're going to change three things about your appearance. You're both going to do this. And then when we deem it correct time to reveal it, you turn back round, and all you're going to try and do is guess what you touched your head. So turn back to back. You're going to very quickly change something. So no PPP.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Take to bed.
PPP.
I've only got two.
So changes, make sure three things have changed. This is all good. Okay, and then when I say go, you will have to sit around, try and guess what changed. Go. $6 million. Everyone plays. Just very quickly, so we're curious with these necessary questions. Just hands up if you guessed all three. Okay, Ron, you've been competitive, chill out. We've got two. We've got one. Who can give shits? Just checking the room. Most important question: who has or is in or is currently putting back what you changed originally? Yeah. Okay. So it's a bit of a fun game. It's also an analogy for change. You know, days like this are great because it's a chance for us to time for some of think, reflect, refresh, renew. But like this game, you know, I'm not suggesting we should walk around, you know, with skirt stuff and pants or whatever. But it's an idea that a lot of change can sometimes be fun, it can be frivolous, it can be exciting, it could be a bit weird, a bit uncomfortable. But what we like to do as human beings is put everything back the way it was. And it can very quickly, and days like this, which have been fantastic. And we've really enjoyed our sessions, and I know to have a chat to some of you really enjoyed the sessions, we take a lot from it. If we don't take action on the back of this, this just becomes an interesting day with a buffet in the middle. That costs quite a bit, right? And we've all sat through those. That doesn't work. So there's capacity to take action on the back of it. And if you, otherwise, it's like pipe dreams, it's words. They don't mean anything until we've got access to them. And then that becomes what's expected of us. That becomes the reputation of the individual or the organisation. So we will move to it toward the end of this session, but action's key. And if every single one of us does something different off the back, really big change. If any one of us does it, just make it work, that's it. It's there.
But when you said put things back, I just looked at you and you were just moving your breaths around until then. I couldn't take anything more.
Plus, also rude on last minute.
Okay, so we're just going to talk about happiness, the brain, for the last half an hour, 45 minutes, and give you some lovely tools to take away at the end of it. So it's a bit of a trick question for you. It's not really a trick question. How many brains do you think that we have? Just shout out for me. How many brains do you think that we have? What do you reckon? It's not a trick question.
I don't know, but just by the look of their face,
What? Yeah, any more than one?
either one's got.
Any more than one?
So he's got two.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
That's just shouting out numbers, guys.
Anybody got more than three?
So we do actually have two brains. You're right, Adam. This is the second time that you've got an answer right today. And everyone give Adam a round of
Experience of the child.
It's not as easy as it looks, is it? So let's just talk a little bit about the brain and how it works. If we can get this working, I think it's stuck. It's not working. So we have got three brains. Just on the sort that. There's three parts of the brain. So what I'm going to ask you to do is have a chat with the person next to you. Can you tell us?
we're back.
Oh, all right. Can you tell us? This is the brain up here. This is the brain up here. Can you tell us what are the two parts of the brain? Now I know you're looking at that, and there's a part of that brain that you're probably looking at, and our designer has designed this. to
Wasn't that you traced it with me?
Amazing.
actually on brain, man brain. There are some parts of that brain, and they do look like that. So what I'm going to ask you to do is have a little chat. What do you think the yellow part of the brain is? Keep it clean, keep it clean. What do you think the yellow part of the brain is?
Cerebellum cortex.
The what?
Limbic cortex.
I like the way you shout that out and love it.
I think we looked at it.
Which letter that part of the brain is?
I love the idea that's like a street name, Olympic Cortex. What do you want?
What do you reckon? It's a part of the brain, the other part of the brain is not. Go on.
Cerebellum.
Oh, brilliant. So also known as the, we're coming up in different parts. Also known as the reptilian brain. So that part of the brain is instincts and urges, not those instincts and urges. Just saying that. But the reason why I should go with this is that these parts of the brain are really important for our well-being and happiness. So historically, the first part of the brain was the reptilian brain, and that was just about instincts. All it did was fight, flight, block, and freeze. And that's all the brain did. It reacted to stuff. Now, hopefully, we've moved on a little bit, unless you go out in Liverpool on a Friday night. But we moved on to the pink part of the brain, which is the emotional part of the brain, also known as the amygdala. And this part of the brain is really important because what it started to do is it started to allow us to build relationships with people. When we build relationships with people, we can start to build trust. When we start to build trust, we can start to think differently. We can start to build communities. And that's what made humans really evolutionise. That's what made us move forward. Because then we start to have that top part of the brain, which is the neocortex, which is the thinking part of the brain. So whilst we might have reacted to something, we might have had trust around people that would help us feel differently about that. And then we could think it through. And this is where happiness comes in. Because as human beings, happiness is important. And when I talk about happiness, we talk about the reality of happiness, not this idea that we need to be happy all the time, because that's not true, nor should it be. All emotions are important. But when we talk about what the brain needs, happiness, love, and well-being is a huge part of it, because energy, it takes up a lot of what we do. And the brain takes up a lot of energy. And what creates energy is happiness, is love, also food. And so when we talk about happiness, we're going to talk about it from a science point of view, but also what can we do in our everyday lives to help us to have a healthy and a happy brain. So I'm just going to talk about happiness a little bit more. So that's stand up on your phone. So you can my session before, you might do this little exercise. So if you agree with what's on the board, you stay standing. If you disagree, you can sit down. If you're not sure, you can hover. Okay. So happiness is genetic. Do you agree, disagree, or you're not sure? Okay. It's going to be how much you can stay hovering.
Big possibilities again.
I've got you because you're looking really good on your side there.
Why were you hovering, my lovely?
Okay, so you think those things are genetic?
So you go.
Passed down from family.
Yeah.
Within happy family.
We all know that families are very or miserable people. I'm coming over here. Like when you look, you turn away. If I don't look at her, she can't see. Not like the TV, I can. Hello, my lovely.
Sure enough.
Go on, you sit down.
I've got, I just couldn't squat much longer. It's about time.
Bit,
Yeah.
And over there, go on, you're standing, so you think it's true. So go on.
Well, you get folk who are mentally not stable, and then often family aren't mentally stable either.
Okay, interesting. Okay, sit yourself down for me. So happiness is not genetic. There's a piece of research, and I'm pretty good about this. There's a piece of research out about 10 years ago that says that 50% of happiness is relative to our genes. That research was a little bit of information taken out that context. The good news is we can work at our happiness, and that's really important. We can absolutely have to work at our happiness, and it's not about being happy all the time. We can't be happy all the time. We should be sad. There should be moments where we feel pain, because feeling pain is part of happiness. But the important thing about this is around genetics. There's something called epigenetics, and epigenetics are the switches on genes that are switched on and off by social and environmental influence. Now, epigenetics do play a small role in happiness or social and environmental influences, even when we're in mum's tongue. And that's to do with energy, that's to do with the cells. We've got over 1 billion cells in our body that turn these switches on and off, that create energy for our genetics. And that can be an influence from food, from stress. Our genes can change all the time as we move through life. But the important thing to remember is we can influence our own happiness and the happiness of others.
Okay, so a quick shout out next to you. What is happiness? What does it actually mean to you? Can you define it? You've got 47 seconds. That was the low conversation. So again, just okay, these thoughts, right? These aren't runners. Anybody got a thought what happiness is?
And obviously, this is benches, philosophers have talked about many years. We've just given you 2 minutes, 30 seconds thinking about what happiness is. But what would you define happiness as? What do you reckon? Just shout out.
If you want to do it through dance, there's plenty of room.
Positivity and contentment.
Oh, I like that. Positivity and contentment. Yeah, absolutely. What else? Yes.
Have some wine on a Friday night.
A glass of wine, or did you say bottle?
Oh, how happy you want to be.
That's the one in the things. What was it?
That's created.
Conditions created.
And therefore there's a moral imperative, you know, what is within our sphere of influence. As you know, I always say to my staff that I work with in my schools that people will never forget how you made them feel. They will forget things, they will forget events, but what they will never forget, there's a real moral imperative in leadership, you know, for the well-being of our staff that we serve, essentially.
Yeah, we always talk about that happiness should not be a perk. It's an absolute right that we create an environment for people to work in. And that doesn't mean that you won't turn up and have a bad day. It's just that you know how to get out of it. That's the important part. Brilliant.
Optimism.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
I was going to say the smell of freshly cooked grass that always
You
makes
didn't
me.
need to say that. We've all got 2 voices, all right? So we've got a few more. Spend the rest of the grass. They could like simple things and back into Stephanie's session. Stephanie's talking about dose of happiness. If you were in a session, the full naturally occurring neurotransmitters, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. These are chemicals that when that low make us feel good, and we repeat behaviours, and these things that we're talking about help these neurotransmitters enter our brain, which make us feel good, which impacts the way we think, feel, and what we do. And we're really good at this personally. You know, when the sun comes out of the weekend, what do you go and do? What are you going to do? A glass of wine. Anybody else? Yeah.
Occasion.
I've got a full-time job in a pub, and occasionally pops into school. What do you do the weekend?
Outdoors.
Outdoors. What do you do outdoors?
Walk the dog. Walking.
Walk. I don't know what you she goes. Oh, I just. What else do we? We go we just. What was that? Socialise, get some friends out, yeah. You might drink nice things, you might eat good stuff, you might get people who are sporty. No, we don't. I'm sliding along, continuing on. Yeah, fun goal. And any creativity, anybody paint, draw, knit,
Crochet.
crochet, anybody in this room do anything? For God's sake.
So if it's sunny, I will take my the coffee. And that's
Coffee.
glass of wine. I have a box of wine in the fridge.
And we do these things because in ours, sometimes professionally got to for ourselves to keep our neurology in the place it needs to be in order to think those good thoughts. And again, this isn't about being happy. We talk a lot of Laughology about realistic happiness. It's not about plastic smiley face and telling things all right, because that's not how it works. It's about recognising and having a sense check on ourselves about where we are, how we think, how we feel, what we're doing. And if it isn't, we're not getting the right impact, we're not feeling good about these things. We have techniques to shift into something that's going to be more helpful, less hindering, more impactful, not just on ourselves, but the people around us. I recommend a book to you, All Out of Chaos, by a book called Scott Walker. He's a negotiation expert. He's written a book all about communication, fantastic book. And the two things he says right at the very beginning of his book is the sense check. Sometimes we don't check in enough with ourselves and we'll wait way too long until it's almost got out of control before we intervene. And that regular sense check almost on a daily basis. How am I thinking? How am I feeling? What am I doing? Is a really powerful way to shift our states so that we can move ourselves when we're not feeling great into something more helpful, more useful, less hindering. He also talks about seeking to understand and then be understood. So again, paying attention to the people around us, taking care of the brains around us, what we all do anyway. But that sense checking idea is really important because, you know, very often people who chase happiness, very often they're unhappy. You know, they've got a nice house, nice car, nice people, no, but what they really want is to figure out never gets it, and that's satisfying. And that can lead to a real cycle of negativity about never feeling happy where you are with what you've got around you, you know, empathizing and recognizing that we're surrounded by lots of good stuff all the time. We're not really seeing it because we're thinking it's out there somewhere else. So that idea of happiness, that idea of that sense check, to really regularly check in on ourselves, because if we're not feeling good, if we're not feeling lovable and capable, how are we going to be able to impact people around us in the same way?
It's not about these big moments like Dave was saying. Actually, happiness is about those small moments of joy. Small moments of joy are the things that you notice, the little things that you pause about, the little things that you're grateful for. And folks, this isn't the stuff that's rocket science. It's the really simple stuff that perhaps when we're busy, we forget to do. So all I'm going to ask you to do now is have a chat with the people around you and think about in the last week and last month, what was your small moment of joy? And these might be really tiny things. So me, on the way here, I managed to phone my nephew who was 18 yesterday and sang him happy birthday down the phone whilst I was getting on the tube to get here. And it was embarrassing for him, but at the end of it, he sent me a little message back saying, I look forward to you phoning and happy birthday every single year. Just those small moments of joy are the little things that we have to fit in and remember sometimes. So I'll chat around you, what's your small moment of joy?
The trailer. Yeah, Friday. That was out. Before you can. I've seen they're all yeah. I do enjoy okay, I get it.
Those moments of joy, and ultimately, when we share small moments of joy with each other, somebody else gets that little small moment of joy as well. And it's a really lovely exercise to do with your kids, with your team, with your staff. Because when we do it regularly and when we do it for ourselves, it actually changes the way the brain works. Remember at the beginning, I talked to you about the brain. We need to wire our brain. We need to fill in that top part, that thinking part, because sometimes that thinking part gets a little bit wonky and it can focus on all the stuff that's not going well. And it's easy for us to do that. Once we start to do that, we start to deplete some of the lovely neurotransmitters in the brain. We start to up some of the cortisol, noradrenaline, and adrenaline. By the way, stress isn't bad. It's had a bad rap lately. Stress is okay as long as we manage it. And this is some of the stuff about how we manage it. So I'd love you to shout out what you're talking about small moments of joy. If you want to share.
Well, we'll assume wine was in there, so let's move on. Anything else?
Getting home to your dog.
Yeah.
Your dog's reaction when.
The dog's reaction, which you never get any other family member.
What you did, if you were playing, if you were.
I don't remember if your husband came to you in the same way with your intro. As an example, we just shot something the whole way. It's the thing we do. Otherwise, I'm using surfing. Let's move on. Any others?
No.
No.
I was just going to say, should I tell you about my dog? But they're like, no, not now. Not a good time. He's quite flexible. When he goes at it, he can move. Not my partner, no. Broke his back twice. That's one moment of joy was. I could talk for an hour about this with a dog. A small moment of joy was I've walked out of an Ofsted inspection this morning to but I've gotten in the car at 29 miles to to get here to be part of this today, and I had a car disco on the way. I had a bit of a car disco on this. Is there any police in the room?
No.
I was sending it to people as well, which I know I shouldn't do. But yeah, I had a lovely glitter box, so I put on some more. I had saxophones, I had piano. Time of my life.
Bless you, baby.
I had a lot of coffee as well.
Who knows a little disco moment in our own house? Sometimes the one in our families we fade, but we always get 50 minutes long. That's nice. There's only so many times to do that.
When we talk about this stuff, it's important that we talk about it with other people. And it's not about being happy all the time, because actually that's not good for us. And that causes toxic positivity. It has an adverse effect on the brain when we're trying to be something that we're not. It's not no good for us. You know, if we've had sad moments, we should appreciate those sad moments, because quite often it might be that something's happened that's made you sad, you might have lost a loved one. That's okay, because you should be sad. You're appreciating the love that you've had for them. It might be that you've had a tough day with Ofsted, or something's happened and you just feel that you need some quiet time. All that stuff is as important as recognising happiness and what we do, because if we don't, it takes more energy and we go into this unhelpful mode of trying to put on a show that then depletes our energy. That means later on we'll go into burnout and we'll not be able to access that happiness. So when we talk about happiness, it's about balance, and that's a really important part of it. And the research that we've done over the last 20 years looks at what makes us happy, what helps us create a happy environment. And by no means that we have landed on this is what happiness is. We do research into it all the time. But it kind of makes sense what's up there. Coping skills, because life throws crap at you, and it's about how we deal with that stuff. It's also about relationships. Positive relationships and how we deal with other people is one of the most important skills that we can instill in our young people. Support, but just not getting support, giving support. We know that when we give people support, when we support others, it pings a little bit of serotonin in the brain. It also pings a little bit of dopamine in the brain, and it creates happiness. Kindness and research has been one of the key elements that have helped people with depression and we volunteer for others. Confidence, helping people with confidence, personal development or achievement and success, and inclusion, feeling like you're part of something. Now, all I want you to do is have a little chat to the people around you, to the people next to you. Which one of those do you perhaps think I could do with a little bit more work on that? Or it might be in school, you could probably focus a little bit more on that. Just have a chat and I'll come back to you in a minute. Off you go.
That's for somebody, that's my favourite one. Oh, like a mega big. I was
like archives sometimes, and I need to be very sure. Alright, well, I'm just like. I know it's a banger. Yeah, and I've got a few stuff as well. And I'm just thinking ambitions really that you can, like, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to. How I can kind of. How stressed you are when you're. Yeah, but.
Thoughts, feelings, reflections on this? Anyone want to just chip in with something that if you focused on, you might want to focus a little more in your setting, in your environment, the behaviour impacts, and thoughts?
I think as teachers and educators, I think we all do number 3. We naturally get that
You all really
we hit it from helping others, and it's kind of what we thrive on, isn't it?
Yeah. Which is the one do you think that perhaps that sometimes dips?
Goes at the back of it.
Yeah.
I think inclusion.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because I think sometimes the thing in students, but also in staff as well, that you sometimes don't always notice who's not included, who's the the quiet ones in the back staff room, or the people who are not involved in the, or not haven't got a big voice in the staff meeting, or I think that's inclusion. For me, it's support from others. I'm very good at giving support to everybody else. I'm not very good at accepting, and that's I'll be on my knees before I say I have some help. And in this job, it's bloody hard, and that is one of the hardest to do.
And that's an idea of sense check when you go too far to your own needs, be able to interject and ask. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just going to pick this up. What we'll do is we'll send this on, so make sure that you get a copy of this and the free resources that we have. Because every single one of these, we've got resources for every single year group. They're free. You can have them. We're going to send them out, and they're teaching resources as well. But when we've done research, it's a bit more complex than just those 6 things. And there's lots of the other things that fit into that. And what I'd encourage you to do is just think about these on balance. We don't have to do all these things all the time. But if you're feeling a little bit wonky, or you're feeling something that's not quite right, or going on with a child or a teacher, what are these things that are going on? Where are the conversations that can happen? Because these are things that matter. And like we said, it's not about being happy all the time. Sorry for going to.
I didn't want to say the word. Maybe we should have been a suggestion. It wasn't repeating. Anything else?
So it's not about being happy all the time, but the sense check that Dave was talking about, let me talk to you. Really important. So when we talk about our energy levels, and I talked about this at the beginning, the brain and the energy is really important. The brain takes up most of the energy in your body. And what that means is pushing cells all the way up to your body all the time to create oxygen, to feed it, and it needs lots of energy. sometimes we feel depleted in that energy, and that's when our well-being can suffer, that's when our mental health can suffer, and that's when our happiness suffers. So we've got high energy and we've got low energy, and we've got good low energy and we've got not so good low energy. When we talk about thriving, we've got people who are thriving people, and sometimes we are all in thriving mode. What does it feel like? Just shout out for me. What emotions do you have when you're in thriving mode? What's going on? Just shout out for me. Happy. Happy, yeah, brilliant. What else?
Useful.
Useful, yeah. What was that? Positive, yeah, brilliant. Confidence, yeah.
Motivated.
Motivated should only be said with George accent. Motivated, I like it. What else?
Feeling.
Enthusiastic, yeah. And all this stuff takes energy. Now, if you're someone like me, or even if you're just busy people like you are, where you are in thriving mode, you're on it all the time, what you might do then sometimes is forget that you need to rest and that you need to take time out. And I know because you're bloody brilliant people, you will keep going and keep going and keep going. And that's when sometimes that you tip into survival mode. Now, we all tip into survival mode sometimes. That's okay, but it's how we manage that and get back to it, because if we spend too long in survival mode, it's not healthy for us at all. But quite often, what I'll do is I'll do this all week, I'll spend all the energy, and Dave and I are up and down the country, and then at the weekend, I think I know, I'll go for a 10k run, and then I've booked in all week to see my friends at the weekend, and by Friday night, all I'm thinking is how the hell can I get out of it, and what excuses can I make? How many of us do that? If that's happening, it's telling me that you're knackered and that you just need that little bit of time for you. And if someone like me who finds it hard to switch off, you're going to quickly go into that survival mode. What emotions do you start to get when you're in survival mode? What feelings do you start to get?
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. Actually, what else? Anxious, yeah. What else?
Stressed.
Panic, stressed, yeah. If you're anything like me, I'm going to panic mode. So I go a little bit over the top sometimes. But when that happens, when you start to feel these things, like Dave said before, this is sort of sense check. This is when you should be saying to yourself, what do I need to do to stop, slow down? So if not, you're going to go into burnout mode. And when you're in burnout mode, your body is taking lots and lots of energy, and it's really hard to get back. It's easier to go from surviving to thriving. It's really hard to go from burnout back to thriving. So what we need to do is we need to go from thriving to recovery. Thriving to recovery. We need to notice when we're in that mode. And when I talk about recovery, it's about recognising what you need to do in recovery. Because if you stick in that refresh mode, where you're just reinvigorating, you're using energy all the time. You need to be able to relax or rest. I find the rest really hard. So all I'm going to ask you to do is have a very quick chat, just 2 minutes. What will you do and what do you need to do more of for you to help yourself be happy? Because if you're happy, then you've got a happy school, you've got a happy classroom. Have a chat with the person next to you. What do you recognise from this now that you're going to need to do more or less of that?
Yeah, like just in front of the TV.
Yes, and you've got I got time for it.
Okay, so
Well, do it. You can do it.
Really well, you had a really good day, so a lot of that reinvigorate stuff, really to get into rest mode. It's really important that you do. Just very quick sense check. What were people talking about? What do you need to do more on? What do you recognise? What are people thinking?
I thought I rest, but we've just been talking, and I don't do any of those things. Even in the bath, I read. It's
Coast.
Yeah.
It's just sleeping it, that's the only time.
And what your brain's not able to switch on and be energized. And so people might feel tired. So it's important that we do that stuff. By the way, someone like me with ADHD, most cases doesn't work to my brain to say. So what I've taught myself to do instead is I'm teaching myself to play the piano. For me, that is resting because it helps my brain process. So for some of this stuff, it might be different for different people, but the important thing is to stop it. If we're not stopping, you're going into burnout. You need to recognise that stuff for you to be happy people, to be happy schools, to be happy centred kids.
Burnout is stress, you actually got loads of calls when you do this, and that's when you struggle with sleep. Yeah, that's because you go to bed sometimes physically exhausted and mentally still wired. There's a bit of research back in the pandemic about a sustained trip of cortisol, these burnout. And the best way to describe it, I was watching a film recently. You know, when you watch films and they tell you what's going to be in it, and they say things like injury detail, pictures. I watched a film recently, just sustained dread. We can't exist on that. We need shut at this. We both are terrible at resting. We have to learn to really transform our brain, haven't we? So look, we're going to bring this to a close in a second. So can I ask one last time just to stand up? You've written this all day. On your feet, put your hand. What I'd like to do is go to the first nation, just give him a really big cuddle. Come on. Yes. Something else will be nice. You think you'll see? You're going to be all right, folks. So they're going to be all right. Very interesting. Why you're saying why you're bringing a new kind of friend for life. Just between you, I'd like to come up with one word, a key thought thing idea, something that you'll take away from today. One key word, thought theme idea that sums up today for you. With and you know what I'm strengths about. Just a key thought theme idea you'll take away from today. Anybody want to shout out?
You can work on it.
You can work on this.
Yeah.
Any of this?
Energized.
What's up? Energized. Brilliant.
Be more playful.
Playful, yeah, perfect. Any others?
Laughing more and using like laughter as like a tool, you know, like just
It's really important.
Oh,
Pig definitely doesn't have two will.
what? So you'll hear that. Within the session, you're making no sense at all, but a pig definitely doesn't have 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes, 2 minutes, that's what I say. So here's a good way to say it. And so there's no bit to say, right?
It's been absolutely brilliant. Just remember that you're really important people. The kids are absolutely important, but at the centre of that is your happiness. And how you do that, we can take responsibility for our own happiness, but also about taking responsibility for each other. How we are and how we support each other is as important as how we support those kids. You've always to be amazing, be brilliant, and thank you for all the brilliant work you do.
Lovely.
Dale, just maybe get up now. Everyone can see me. Hi.